My name's Waklawidi. I come from the Quagga Tlingit ancestry through my dad. We follow our male side of our history in culture. Waklawidi was given to me at birth from my late grandfather Tommy Hunt. He also named me Tommy Hunt, also Thomas Daniel Hunt. I feel very honored when I talk about my grandpa. And, very large shoes to fill when you think about the history of grandpa. The other history, I come through the Henderson family. My mother, Mary, she passed away Easter Sunday. We come through the Liquito area, through the Henderson family, the Quaxistella family, the Asu family are my blood ties on my mom's side. My late grandfather, our grandmother Emma Hunt, Emma Billy, we come through the Moachut family out of Gold River. And the other family we come through on my grandpa Sam Henderson Sr., the Naquatok family out of London Harbor.
And then, what do you do?
I'm known as an artist. As far as the cultural leadership that you get from me is mainly carving and development of monuments and mass dances and cultural. I would say anything that we use in our practices of food resource. A lot of that has to be carved. So if I get asked to do that stuff, I'm more than willing to work on them.
And what do you value most about what you do?
I think I value the most sustaining culture in the art form. Keeping it alive is important. Passing it down to the younger generation as best as we can. There's a few of us that are doing that in today's world. I always go to guidance with my Uncle Richard or my Uncle Calvin for some support. The hereditary chiefs of our tribes to make sure that we're doing things in a proper way. It's always important to respect where it comes from, who it belongs to, as far as history of that particular mask or crest figure. So we live through an honor system in that fashion. I would say what benefits that you receive from culture. One thing that stems to that. My Uncle Calvin would always say, you have to give it back, Tom. Whatever I taught you, I want you to be able to share that. When he talks about the ability to carve and how you developed as an artist, and teachings of the use of tools are very important steps a young artist will advance himself with. So I hold on to those words very dearly, and I'm excited for some of the opportunities coming up in the future. I'm blessed with opportunity to work on Quetzino's Big House in the near future. I'll be able to pass on some knowledge of carving to the young people of Quetzino. There's another project out of Turner Island, memorial totem pole for the Smith family. Same steps in developing young people to build and carve monuments, totem poles. Yeah, I'm very excited for the up and coming years. Yeah. The Big House is a ceremonial house, Gutsi in our language, and it's identity of that particular village. In today's world, we will have one big house per area, per village. In Quatsino, the development, they're based out of Cole Harbour area, on the northern tip of Vancouver Island, on the east coast, or the west coast, sorry. The development that's been happening there over the last couple decades, they've got their own school, they've got a language program set up, and it's really developed into an area where they negotiated more land with the government and an opportunity to expand and build a big house. And one thing I'll look at with Alert Bay's, everybody will look at Alert Bay's school, their system, the Umista, and we'll use it as a guideline with other villages, Fort Rupert, Canberra River. What's developed there is a system of song and dance where they develop their own dances and songs they can use in the community with that school, where they're respecting families that actually have rights to certain dances you don't see, not unless that family's potlatching with them. So it's a very respectful way of teaching kids song and dance, where they develop their own curriculum, and that's very unique in some of the areas where we come from. When we look at Hamatsa songs and dances, we don't use them. We don't put them on a tape for everybody to listen to. They're very sacred in that manner. My dad's Hamatsa songs are that way. Very important to keep some of it in a respectful way. You've always, if you wanted to use that particular dance, you would ask that chief, and you'd recognize where it came from. That's important in culture. From where we're from, it keeps the identity, and we don't lose it. Also, is what the step is. I think the development with the language. I'll talk about my late mother. She developed a curriculum in Fort Rupert for 25 years. She taught school at the Wagula School, and till this day that curriculum's developed, and it stems from her teaching in a way where it's through the Umista alphabet, where that's important to keep everything the same dialect, so everybody can learn and speak to each other. There is some other dialect that we call it the universal dialect, where it's actually taught through the Liquitok area in Canberra River in some cases. So that's important to keep that the line of everything the same in culture. I'll finish off with that one. I look at the school system. There's a lot of good development. We talked about this earlier, where the universities, the colleges, and the elementary schools are all working together with the neighboring tribes to develop curriculum, and working with the government, so we can certainly have the funding to keep them open. That's been an ongoing process. Talking to our leadership, that are the language teachers, it's developing very well, and there's more younger people developing to be teachers and language teachers in our territories. There's a celebration of Hada in Guilford's area, Guilford Island. It's located behind the Alert Bay area in our territory. It's a wellness program that Henry Nelson Sr. developed and Jr. But they're celebrating the area where it'll be certainly for language and culture, the art form, to help people get out of the addictions of drugs and alcohol. There's a lot of good things happening in Hada, and the celebration of the final stages of it getting built is Saturday. So yeah, we look forward to what's going to happen out of Hada. There'll be a lot of good development with culture and language, sustainability, and a lot of the younger people are taking the courses there, and they'll be able to bring that back to their own villages once they get through their system there. Yeah. I would say to become one in our system. Everybody support each other in whatever we need done. I know it's in everybody's hearts. That's what we want, to be able to share and pass it on in a respectful way. I see, like I talked about Hada just now, there's a lot of elders and young people working together from all our families, coming up to this totem pole that I'm leaning on. Hopefully we sustain the Frank family history, so it's looked after from the young people, their responsibilities they have to carry for the next generation. And I look at a lot of the potlatches coming forward in the near future. There are a lot of memorials. A lot of people passed away. When you look at memorial potlatches, you're putting your loved one away in our fashion and our history. Usually that'll bring a lot of families together that we're spread out amongst wherever we live. It brings a lot of strength to that family and the community. There's another totem log that'll be blessed with the Wilson family I'd like to talk about in Fort Rupert, April 30th, Bob Wilson Memorial. So when we look at honoring him and the family, we're bringing back some. I would say the family hasn't potlatched in decades, so it's very exciting times for the family and for the community to uplift the Wilson family is what's going to be happening. I'm very excited. My daughter Kimberly is from that family also, so I'm really looking forward to helping them. A potlatch is a way of showing song and dance, culture, history of what your family carries in our cedar bark system, Hamatsa Society, the Winalagali Society. It's always about sharing and giving your wealth to keep your line as a chief. It basically is always about giving and sharing. That's what it really means. It's a Chinook language. I've been working on this totem pole for Norman about a year and a half now, I think it's been. We blessed it 3 years ago, and COVID stopped us for a bit. And my late brother passed away during the time of working on this. One thing I'll say about the totem pole and the crest figures of representing Norman and his legacy. I'm very, very honored and privileged and grateful to be able to support with carving, and I look at the history of our families are very connected with the Henderson family, especially with my mom. She was learning to be going to school here to be a nurse at the time, and the Frank family took her in. My grandparents, Sam and May, were very close to Andy, Frank, and Maggie at the time. And so that stems from those relationships when I think about our families. And my mom and dad have been married, you go to 65 years, and then she passed away last April. But just the family connections are so rich. One thing Norman would always say to me is a welcome home, and I hold on to that way of loving everybody, how Norman was. I look forward to September the 10th for the potluck and the celebration day. And carry on with who we are, and I think one thing that's important to record is my dad was very vocal with the government, and he would basically say they didn't get rid of us, son. You talk about residential school and the purpose of what they were there for, and that sticks out all the time with my dad, and carrying through culture. And if we didn't have grandparents that went underground in Potlatch when the system was banned, that really helps us for where we're at today, to be able to share and give. I'm very thankful for Grandpa for doing that. He carried it through with how many other chiefs at the time? There wasn't very many, maybe 10 amongst our people that carried it. That probably should get recorded, some of those stories from families. We most of the time we keep them to ourselves. I certainly look at carrying through a lot of the loved ones that we've lost. I know it helps me get through. The passion that you carry carving, being a kid, loving it, I would never get enough of it, really. But the support system that you get out of your grandparents, your parents, and your brothers, your uncles, very important for the actual carving part of it. But the system that families carry to keep everything intact. I come from a family of 9, and I'm number 7 in that group. So I look at it at a level of how you were taught to look after each other, really, to share that whatever you had in your I think your opportunities in caring for people, to be able to make a mass today and pass it to a family for a gift through my dad and our family is very rewarding. And you think back on carving, okay, if this is what it was all about, okay, this is great, let's do this again. By the time you get to finishing on totem poles for memorials, my late uncle Mark would say that, well, what are we going to do next the minute you're finished? So I'm fortunate to be around the support system to carry through the art form of our culture, and what it really means to give and pass on some history to our kids. That's what we live for today.